My granddaughter isn't breathing right. I'm standing in the kitchen of my son's home in Burlington, Ontario, where we've just finished celebrating little Sophie's 10th birthday. The house is still full of relatives, my son David, his wife Jennifer, my other son Michael and his family. But right now, in this bathroom doorway, the world has shrunk to just me and this child who's gasping like she can't get enough air. "Grammy," Sophie whispers, her face pale and sweaty. "I feel really sick. I'm 64 years old. I've raised 3 children, helped deliver 2 grandchildren when their mothers went into labor early, and once talked my husband through a heart attack while waiting for the ambulance. But nothing has prepared me for the terror of watching this little girl's lips start to turn blue." "David," my voice comes out steady, which surprises me. "David, get in here now." My son appears in seconds, Jennifer right behind him. The moment Jennifer sees Sophie, she goes white. "Call 911, I tell her, because someone needs to say it. Jennifer's already pulling out her phone with shaking hands. "What happened?" David's lifting Sophie into his arms. "She was fine 10 minutes ago. She was fine." "I don't know. And I don't." Sophie had been showing off her birthday presents to everyone, happy and healthy. Then she'd said she needed the bathroom. I'd offered to take her because the upstairs one was occupied, and we'd come down to the basement bathroom. When she'd come out, she'd look like this gray, sweating, struggling for air. The operator's voice comes through Jennifer's phone speaker. "What's your emergency?" While Jennifer explains, I watch David lower Sophie onto the couch. Michael appears with the others, his wife Catherine herding their kids back toward the kitchen. My daughter-in-law's sister, Vanessa, hovers near the doorway, her hand over her mouth. "Is she allergic to anything?" I ask David, because I'm trying to think, trying to be useful. "Did she eat something new?" "No. Nothing, just birthday cake and Mom, I don't understand what's happening." The paramedics arrive in what feels like hours but is probably 8 minutes. They're efficient, professional. They ask questions while checking Sophie's vitals, starting an IV line, putting an oxygen mask over her small face. I watch my son and daughter-in-law answer. In fragments, no known allergies, no history of asthma, no prior incidents, perfectly healthy child. "We're taking her to Joseph Brant Hospital," the older paramedic says. "Parents can ride with us." "I'll follow with your car," I tell Jennifer, who nods without really hearing me. They're already moving Sophie toward the door on the stretcher. The oxygen mask makes her eyes look huge and frightened. I drive Jennifer's SUV to the hospital with my hands locked on the steering wheel. Michael follows in his car with Catherine. At the hospital, we end up in a waiting room that smells like antiseptic and anxiety. My other son, James, arrives within the hour someone must have called him. Vanessa comes too, though I'm not entirely sure why. She keeps saying how scary it was, how she can't believe this happened. "Mrs. Morrison?" A doctor appears in the doorway. She's young, maybe 40, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "I'm Dr. Patel, Sophie's stable now. We'd like to speak with you and the parents." In the consultation room, Dr. Patel sits across from us with Sophie's chart. David and Jennifer are holding hands so tightly their knuckles are white. "Sophie's going to be fine, doctor," Patel says first, and I watch my son's shoulders drop with relief. "But I need to ask you some questions about her medical history. You said she's been healthy, no ongoing issues?" "Completely healthy," Jennifer says. "She's never even had a serious flu." Dr. Patel nods slowly. "The reason I'm asking is because Sophie's symptoms, the respiratory distress, the rapid heart rate, the sweating, they're consistent with exposure to a high dose of a stimulant, possibly caffeine pills or certain medications." The room goes very quiet. "That's impossible," David says. "Sophie wouldn't take pills. She's 10 years old." "I'm not suggesting she took them voluntarily." Dr. Patel's voice is gentle. "But has she shown these symptoms before, even mild versions? Because her blood work suggests this might not be the first exposure." Jennifer makes a sound like she's been punched. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to consider the possibility that someone gave Sophie these substances. There are patterns we look for in cases of." Dr. Patel pauses, choosing her words carefully. "In cases where a child is being deliberately harmed, I feel like the floor has dropped away beneath me," Michael says. "That's insane. Who would hurt Sophie?" But I'm thinking. I'm remembering. Sophie has been sick before. 3 times in the past 6 months, I realize. Once after Vanessa babysat her overnight while David and Jennifer went to Toronto for their anniversary. Once after a weekend when Vanessa took Sophie to Niagara Falls, just the two of them, auntie and niece bonding time. And once after. Mom? David's looking at me. You've gone white. What is it? How many times has Sophie been sick recently? I asked Jennifer. Actually sick, I mean. Stomach problems? Feeling unwell? Missing school? Jennifer's forehead creases. I don't know. 3 or 4 times. She's had some stomach bugs, and once she was so jittery we thought maybe she'd had too much sugar at a party, but she stops. Why? Dr. Patel leans forward. Mrs. Morrison, what are you thinking? Who was Sophie with right before she got sick? I hear myself ask. Today, I mean. Right before. We were all there, David says. It was her birthday party, the whole family. But who was she with specifically? In the last 20 minutes before she went to the bathroom? Jennifer's face changes. She's remembering too. Vanessa. Vanessa took her to the kitchen to help cut the cake. They were in there for a while, maybe 15 minutes. Then Sophie came back and showed everyone her new art kit, and then she said she needed the bathroom. Vanessa's your sister, I say to Jennifer, and it's not a question. Yes, but Mom, what are you suggesting? I look at Dr. Patel. Is this something that could happen multiple times? Someone could do this multiple times? Unfortunately, yes. Dr. Patel's expression is grave. There's a condition called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It's when someone, usually a caregiver, deliberately makes a child sick to gain attention or sympathy. It's a form of abuse. Jennifer's shaking her head. No, Vanessa wouldn't. She loves Sophie. She's always volunteering to babysit. She's always helping with Sophie. She stops. She's always there when Sophie gets sick. The silence that follows is suffocating. Where is Vanessa now? Dr. Patel asks. In the waiting room, Michael says quietly. She insisted on coming. I stand up. I'm 64 years old, and I've spent most of my life being polite, being understanding, giving people the benefit of the doubt. But right now, looking at my son's devastated face and thinking about my granddaughter in a hospital bed, something cold and clear settles into my chest. I need to see Sophie's medical records from the past year, I tell Dr. Patel. Every visit, every time she was brought in or seen by a doctor. David looks at me. Mom, what are you doing? I'm protecting my granddaughter, I say. And if I'm right about this, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what's been happening. Dr. Patel studies me for a long moment, then nods. Let me make some calls. If there's a pattern here, we need to document it properly, and we need to involve Child Protective Services. What do we do about Vanessa? Jennifer's voice is barely a whisper. Right now, I mean, she's out there waiting. Nothing yet, Dr. Patel says. Don't confront her. Don't tell her what we suspect. We need evidence first. But don't leave her alone with Sophie. Not for a second. Over the next 3 days, I learn things about my daughter-in-law's sister that make my stomach turn. With Dr. Patel's help and Jennifer's authorization, we pull Sophie's medical records. 4 visits in 6 months. Every single time, Vanessa had been the one to bring her in or had been present when the symptoms started. The doctors had noted it was unusual but not impossible kids get sick, especially active 10-year-olds. But I do more digging. I'm retired now, which means I have time. I start with social media. Vanessa's Instagram is public, and once I know what to look for, it's all there. Posts about my brave niece fighting another bug, photos of Sophie looking pale and tired with captions about how some kids just have weaker immune systems, stories about rushing Sophie to the hospital with worried face emojis, and requests for prayers. The comments are full of sympathy. You're such a good aunt. Poor Sophie is lucky to have you. You're so caring. Every post has hundreds of likes. I take screenshots of everything. Then I do something I never thought I'd do. I contact Vanessa's ex-husband. Jennifer had mentioned once that Vanessa had been married briefly in her 20s, before Jennifer even met David. It ended badly, but Jennifer never knew the details. I find him on LinkedIn. His name is Robert Chen, and he's a civil engineer in Halifax now. I send him a carefully worded message explaining who I am and asking if he'd be willing to talk about Vanessa. I don't expect a response. He calls me within 2 hours. I've been waiting 12 years for someone to ask me about her, Robert says. His voice sounds tired. What did she do? Why do you assume she did something? because that's what Vanessa does. She creates crises so she can be the hero who solves them, or the victim who needs rescuing. Sometimes both. He pauses. Who got hurt this time? My granddaughter. Oh God, there's real pain in his voice. Is the child okay? She will be. If you're willing to help me. Robert tells me everything. How Vanessa would fake illnesses to get his attention, how she'd create emergencies that required him to drop everything and come running, how their dog mysteriously got sick 3 times, requiring expensive vet visits, always when Robert was out of town and Vanessa needed sympathy, how he'd finally left when he found evidence she'd been taking laxatives regularly to make herself sick, then documenting her mystery illness on a blog where she'd built up thousands of followers. I told her family, Robert says, her parents, her sister Jennifer. No one believed me. They said I was bitter about the divorce, making things up. Vanessa was the golden child who could do no wrong. Jennifer didn't know? Jennifer was young, maybe 22, and Vanessa had everyone convinced I was the problem. Controlling, paranoid, vindictive. She's very good at playing the victim. After I hang up, I sit in my kitchen for a long time. Then I call Michael, my other son. I need your help with something, I tell him. Something that's going to be very hard for Jennifer to hear. Michael comes over that evening with Catherine. I show them everything: the Instagram posts, the medical records timeline, Robert's testimony. Catherine, who's a high school teacher with a psychology background, looks at the Instagram account and nods. Classic Munchausen by proxy presentation, she says quietly. The performative caregiving, the documentation, the attention-seeking. This is textbook. What do we do? Michael asks. We can't just accuse her. David and Jennifer won't believe it without proof. We need a controlled test, Catherine says, then holds up her hand. Not with Sophie, obviously not with Sophie, but we need something that forces her to show her pattern. I think about this. She volunteered to help with the community center fundraiser next week. She's been posting about it, how she's organizing everything, how stressful it is, how she's pushing through despite her own health problems. What health problems? Michael asks. Exactly, I say. We make a plan. It's not elaborate, but it doesn't need to be. People like Vanessa follow predictable patterns. They create crises because they need the attention, the sympathy, the validation, and they can't help themselves. The community center fundraiser is on Saturday. It's a big event: silent auction, bake sale, local musicians. Jennifer's on the organizing committee, and Vanessa has somehow positioned herself as the indispensable volunteer coordinator. I watch her at the setup on Friday evening, directing people with theatrical sighs, mentioning how exhausted she is, how she barely slept, how stressful this all is. Vanessa, you should rest, Jennifer says, because my daughter-in-law is kind and doesn't yet know what her sister is. You've done so much already. No, I'm fine. Vanessa presses her hand to her forehead. I just get these migraines sometimes when I'm stressed, but I'll push through. This is too important. I'm watching from across the room, setting up the bake sale table. Catherine's beside me, and we exchange glances. On Saturday, the fundraiser is in full swing by 11 a.m. Vanessa's wearing a dress that's somehow both casual and attention-getting, and she's got her phone out constantly, taking photos for Instagram. I see her stop multiple times to lean against walls, touch her forehead, accept worried questions from other volunteers. At noon, I put my plan into action. Vanessa. I approach her with a concerned expression. Jennifer needs you to run home and get the backup cash box. She forgot it. Oh, but I'm not feeling well. Maybe someone else could. Jennifer specifically asked for you. She said you're the only one who knows where it is. This is a lie. There is no backup cash box. But Vanessa doesn't know that. She hesitates, and I can see the calculation happening. Stay and be dramatic about not feeling well, or go and be the indispensable helper. The helper wins. Of course. Anything for Jennifer. The moment Vanessa leaves, I nod to Michael. He's been waiting outside in his car. He follows Vanessa at a distance, not close enough to be noticed, but close enough to see where she goes. She doesn't go to Jennifer's house. She goes to a Shoppers Drug Mart 3 blocks away. Michael texts me. She's inside. Pharmacy section. I tell Jennifer I need to make a phone call and step outside. Michael's parked across the street from the pharmacy, and I walk over and get in his car. We wait. 15 minutes later, Vanessa emerges. She's walking slowly, one hand pressed to her temple. She gets in her car and sits there for a moment. Then she reaches into her purse and takes out a pill bottle. Even from this distance, I can see her shake out several pills and swallow them. Michael's recording on his phone. We watch Vanessa sit in her car for another 5 minutes, then start the engine and drive back toward the community center slowly, carefully, like someone who's really not well. When she gets back, she makes a production of it. "I'm so sorry. I couldn't find the cash box, and I'm feeling so dizzy. I think I need to sit down." "Vanessa," I say loudly enough that several volunteers turn to look. "What did you just take?" She blinks at me, and for just a second, I see calculation in her eyes. Then the mask slides back. "What? Nothing. What are you talking about? You were gone for 20 minutes. You went to Shoppers Drug Mart, not Jennifer's house. You bought pills. You took them in your car." I'm holding Michael's phone with the video ready. "What did you take?" Jennifer's staring at me like I've lost my mind. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Ask her what she bought." I keep my eyes on Vanessa. Ask her what pills she just took. Vanessa's face goes through several expressions: confusion, hurt, anger. She settles on wounded innocence. "I don't know what you think you saw, but I just went to get some Tylenol for my migraine." "I'm sorry I couldn't find the cash box, Jennifer. I looked everywhere." "Show me the receipt," I say. "What?" "The receipt from Shoppers. If you bought Tylenol, show me the receipt." "I don't have to prove anything to you. This is crazy. Jennifer, your mother-in-law is harassing me." But Jennifer's looking at her sister differently now. "Vanessa, just show her the receipt. If you bought Tylenol, it'll clear this up." Vanessa's hand goes to her purse protectively. I threw it away. "When?" Michael asks. He's walked up behind me. "You were in your car. Did you throw it away in your car?" "I don't remember." "Stop attacking me. I'm not feeling well. And you're all making it worse." You know what's interesting? I pull out my phone now, opening the screenshots I've prepared. Sophie has been mysteriously sick 4 times in 6 months. Every single time, you were there. You brought her to the hospital twice. You were babysitting her the other 2 times when she got sick. That's not I was helping. I was taking care of her. Like you took care of Robert Chen's dog? I say quietly. The dog that got mysteriously sick 3 times when you were married to him? Vanessa goes very still. You talked to Robert? He's a liar. He made up terrible things about me when we divorced. He said you were making the dog sick for attention. He said you were making yourself sick for attention. He said you documented everything on a blog. I turn my phone so Jennifer can see. Like you document everything on Instagram. Rushing brave Sophie to the hospital. Praying for my sweet niece. So blessed to be there for her in her time of need. Jennifer takes my phone with shaking hands. She scrolls through the screenshots, and I watch the color drain from her face. "This is ridiculous," Vanessa snaps. "Jennifer, you know me. I love Sophie. I would never hurt her." "Then why was she admitted to the hospital 3 days ago with stimulant poisoning?" I ask. "Why did her blood work show high levels of caffeine and possibly other substances? Why did the doctors find the same markers in her system from previous visits?" The volunteers around us have gone quiet. Someone's pulled out their phone. I realize distantly that this is being recorded, but I don't care. All I care about is the look on Jennifer's face as she understands what's been happening to her daughter. "You weren't helping," Jennifer whispers. "You were making her sick." "No." Vanessa's shaking her head. "No, this is insane. You're all crazy. I'm leaving." "Actually, you're not." Detective Sarah Brennan steps into the community center. She's with Burlington Police Service, and I called her 2 days ago after Robert Chen gave his statement. She's been waiting outside for my signal. "Vanessa Taylor?" Detective Brennan holds up her badge. "I need you to come with me to answer some questions about the welfare of a minor." Vanessa looks around wildly. She's cornered, and she knows it. The performance drops for just a moment, and what's underneath is cold and calculating. Then she starts to cry. "This is all a misunderstanding," she sobs. "I was trying to help. Sophie's always been a delicate child, and I was just trying to be there for her. I never hurt her. I love her." "Then you won't mind showing me what's in your purse?" Detective Brennan says calmly. "Voluntarily, of course." Vanessa clutches her purse to her chest. "This is harassment. I want a lawyer." "That's your right." Detective Brennan nods to her partner, who's appeared beside her. "But I should tell you that we have a warrant to search your home and your vehicle." We'll be collecting any medications, supplements, or substances that could be used to harm a child. We have medical records showing a pattern. We have testimony from your ex-husband about similar behavior. And we have video of you purchasing pills at a pharmacy today and taking them in your car immediately after lying about where you were going. All the color drains from Vanessa's face. If those pills in your purse are legitimate medication for a legitimate condition, this will be cleared up quickly, Detective Brennan continues. But if there's something else, stimulants, for instance, or anything that matches what was found in your niece's blood, then we're going to have a different conversation. Vanessa runs. She actually runs, pushing past volunteers and heading for the door. But Detective Brennan's partner is already there, and Vanessa bounces off him like she's hit a wall. She crumples to the floor, sobbing now for real. "I was helping," she keeps saying. "I was helping. I was the only one who cared about her. I was the only one who was there." They find 7 different types of over-the-counter stimulants in Vanessa's purse. Caffeine pills, diet pills containing ephedrine, energy supplements. In her car they find a notebook documenting doses and times when she'd given Sophie what, how much, what the reaction had been, like she was running an experiment. In her apartment, they find 3 years of journals. Sophie wasn't the first. Robert's dog wasn't the first. There had been other children, kids she'd babysat, kids from the daycare where she'd briefly worked, kids from her church group. Never enough to cause permanent damage. Just enough to make them sick, to make her the concerned caregiver, to generate sympathy and attention. The journals also reveal something else. Vanessa had been planning to move to British Columbia for a fresh start. She'd been documenting Sophie's serious health problems to help convince Jennifer and David that Sophie needed special care that Vanessa could provide if she moved with them, or if Sophie came to stay with her in BC. She'd been trying to separate Sophie from her parents. The trial takes place 8 months later. I attend every day, sitting with David and Jennifer and Michael and Catherine. We watch Vanessa's defense attorney try to paint her as a troubled woman who needs help, not prison. We watch the prosecution systematically destroy that narrative with medical records, journals, testimony from Robert, and from 3 other families whose children had been in Vanessa's care. Dr. Patel testifies about Munchausen syndrome by proxy, about how dangerous it is, about how it escalates. A forensic psychologist testifies that Vanessa shows no remorse, only anger at being caught. Sophie doesn't have to testify, she's too young, and the evidence speaks for itself. But her victim impact statement is read aloud. Jennifer helped her write it. "I thought I was broken," the statement says. "I thought there was something wrong with me that made me sick all the time. I was scared to eat. I was scared to sleep. I thought I was weak and bad, and I didn't know it was my aunt making me feel that way. Now I'm not sick anymore, but I'm still scared sometimes. And I'm angry that she made me feel like I was the problem." The jury deliberates for 3 hours. They find Vanessa guilty on 4 counts of assault, 3 counts of administering a noxious substance, and 2 counts of criminal negligence causing bodily harm. The judge sentences her to 8 years in prison. As they lead her out, Vanessa looks right at me, not at Jennifer, not at David, not at the courtroom full of people whose children she hurt. At me. "This is your fault," she says clearly. "You ruined everything." "No," I say back, loud enough for her to hear. "You did this to yourself." After the trial, things are hard for a while. Jennifer blames herself for not seeing it, for trusting her sister, for leaving Sophie alone with her. David's angry at Vanessa, at himself, at the universe for allowing something like this to happen. Sophie has nightmares and sees a therapist twice a week. But slowly, we heal. Sophie gets healthier, truly healthy, for the first time in years. Her color comes back, she gains weight, she laughs more. She joins a soccer league and discovers she's actually quite athletic when she's not being systematically poisoned. Jennifer and I become closer. She tells me one day, over tea in my kitchen, that she's been thinking about how I knew, how I saw the pattern when no one else did. "You weren't looking for someone to blame," she says. "You were looking for the truth, even when the truth was horrible. Even when it meant suspecting family. I don't know if I could have done that." "You would have," I tell her. "You're a mother. We do what we have to do to protect our children." 2 years after the trial, we have a birthday party for Sophie. She's 12 now, and she wants a pool party with her friends. I stand in David's backyard, watching her laugh and play, and I think about the girl who couldn't breathe on her 10th birthday. Vanessa's Instagram account is gone now, deleted by court order. But I sometimes think about those posts, about how many people saw them and never questioned them. How many people liked and shared and commented prayers for Sophie without ever wondering if Sophie needed prayers or needed to be protected from the person documenting her suffering. Grammy? Sophie appears beside me, dripping wet and grinning. Are you going to come swim? I'm 66 years old, I tell her. I'm going to sit here with my lemonade and watch you young people tire yourselves out. You're not that old, she says, and hugs me with wet arms before running back to her friends. I'm not that old. But I'm old enough to know that sometimes the people who hurt you are the ones who claim to love you most. I'm old enough to know that attention-seeking can be as dangerous as any weapon, and I'm old enough to know that protecting the people you love sometimes means believing the unbelievable and confronting the uncomfortable. Sophie dives into the pool, and the water closes over her head. She surfaces a moment later, laughing. Healthy, safe, whole. That's all that matters. That's everything.